Everybody, this is your main man, Anthony Brogdon, coming at you once again. And I got a soul brother on the channel. This is not his first time. This is his second time. And I told this man I'm so interested and impressed with him. Yeah. Come on anytime you want to.
That's right. That's
new
right.
Information, because, you know, let me tell you something, my friend. These people that come on here, they experts. Yeah, they very knowledgeable about what they're doing. Man, I ain't covering all they know in no 40-50 minutes. Man, yeah. These people know a lot of stuff. This is what they do for a lifetime. So yeah. I tell them, come back on anytime you want to. I'm ready. Because and my man right here, he knocked it out the box the first time. Yeah, he blew him. I'm telling you, I sat there, my mouth hung open. I had no more questions. He's that good. I'm that impressed. One day I'm gonna meet him and shake hands. And we're gonna break bread and all that stuff. I'm coming to where he is.
That's right. That's
right. Let me tell you something, my friends. You know, I'm Anthony Brogdon, and I'm just an ordinary guy, but the train has left the station, and I'm guiding it down that track.
That's right.
We got our own track, and we are coming across the world with this.
That's right.
Now, how about this? Have you seen the video of the guy? He let me tell you, he said he a colored. He from South Africa. And he lived through apartheid. Apartheid wasn't nothing but Jim Crow.
Yeah.
He tells that story. Did you see the one with the guy who talks about? Let's see. Let me give you one. The guy who talks about Josh Gibson being his great grandfather. How about that?
I've heard about that, but
it's on the channel. You've heard about it. It's on the channel. Watch that one.
Yes,
he said, man, when them black players came up, it was a celebration. People got dressed up and went to the game.
Wow.
They were sharp.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bingo long in the All-Stars neither.
Yeah.
There was a team like that, though.
Yeah.
But that wasn't all the teams. And they were good baseball players.
Yeah.
You see the one where the guy talks about the history of the NFL and the black players. It's on the channel. My man says that, check this out, Jackie Robinson was really a better football player.
Really?
But then but he played baseball, and he was a good, honest, upright guy. Not saying nobody else was, married, what have you. And they thought he would be a good person to break the color barrier.
Wow.
How about this one? Did you see the lady out of Columbus, Ohio, where she says, man, that dude Christopher Columbus was a rapist.
I've heard. Yeah,
he's running through Haiti, and he see them beautiful sisters around there, and he trying to have them all.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus. They took down his statue in Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
Strong Inspirations is jamming, and what I want you to do is a few things. I want you to hit the subscribe button. It's free. We don't ask no information. Just hit it. Hit the like button on this video. You liked his last one, you're gonna like this one for sure. Hit the notifications bell, because when the videos come up, you want to be notified somehow that Strong Inspirations has got more new information for you to take in. And then tell somebody about channel. Don't be sitting around your dinner table on Thanksgiving and sharing this knowledge and don't tell them where you got it from. Come on, that ain't cool. Let them know so they can watch it.
Right.
Do this. Share this stuff. I want 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year.
Wow.
That's a lot of them from where I am now. My numbers is up. I had a good number of new ones last night.
Great.
I want an allotment.
Hey, you deserve
just to let me know you like me, because I like you already. Y'all watching me, I like you already. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Hit the subscribe button. Check it out, my friends. I got a couple more things. Did y'all know, little old me, I'm having my own festival? I call it a Freedom Quindaro.
Wow.
Look at the video of the guy whose great-great-grandfather walked across the Missouri River from Missouri to Kansas when it froze. That's the link right there. And he told that man, you come over here, I'm shooting back. I ain't going back. I've had enough of you. So May 27th through the 29th, 2022, I want you to come. I can only take 1,000. I'm gonna rock your world. We gonna dance till you can't dance no more, to some music by the local band, the good DJ. We're gonna hear some ragtime. We're gonna hear banjos and all that other stuff. I'm gonna feed you, and I'll provide you something to drink. I can't do the alcohol though, that's on you, but I'll tell you where you can get the moonshine. And then we're gonna have tours of the area on Saturday and a picnic where I got the local people cooking the food. We're gonna have hot dogs and hamburgers and chicken, and we're gonna have some ribs, those who eat ribs, and so on and so forth. And then we're gonna have church service on Sunday, and we're gonna have brunch. I'm providing all that. I got some local people that we honoring at the party. You wanna be there. Memorial Day weekend. Look on the website, just businessintheblack.net, and you'll see the information. I want you to watch my movie. It's called Business in the Black. It's the rise of Black business in America, slaves who went to college. People say, how did that happen? There were HBCUs open before slavery ended. Who you think was going? Now, they might not have been slaves themselves, but they knew a slave. You can believe that. It's in my movie and more. It's streaming on Amazon. Read my book, please. Get you a copy. I'll autograph it. My arthritis has not set in yet. I will autograph it for you. It's very reasonably priced. I got boxes in my basement that I want you to have. I got inventory. I'll ship it out to you the same day you get it, and check it out. After every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. I want them to hear this, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, my friends. Got to see this and read this and watch this and hear them amazing stories of our success. That's what I chronicle. Get you a copy of my book. Now, you hear me use this word strong a lot, right? Strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace, which is the introduction to my guest today. Oh my God, this is one of them strong men coming out of that town. Oh man, I'm telling you, I had people who have told me about him say they really respect this guy. They are impressed with him. And so I'm so excited that he is on the channel. Come on, brother, introduce yourself. Let's get it on, rock and roll.
Well, I'll tell you, thank you, Anthony, for that wonderful introduction. And please forgive me for butting in on what you just said, telling the folks about the wonderful work that you're doing. And I'm so excited. I had to, say something.
Oh man, I feel it, man. I ain't got no problem with that. You my main man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Tell us
sir.
your name and everything.
Yes, my name is Dr. Walter B. Curry Jr. I am a proud HBCU graduate of South Carolina State University, and I am the founder of Renaissance Publications, LLC, a self-publication company that publishes books in African-American genealogy, focusing on the African-American experience through genealogy.
All right, let me stop you right there. Hold on, man. What town you in?
I am in Columbia, South Carolina.
All right, how about this? Let me get on you just for a second. You know how I do, my man. How long did it take you to get your doctorate?
It took me 3 years. 3 years. In fact, I started my doctoral program just after I completed my master's degree from Cambridge College. And it was advised of me to do so, to keep the momentum going. And during the time I was working on my doctorate, I was engaged to my beautiful wife, Takia Simon Curry, and we have 2 beautiful boys. And so when our first son was born, I was working on my dissertation. And so I remember during the time of graduation, the storm came through Florida. I received my doctorate from Arkansas University in Sarasota. And so we had to take back roads all the way through Georgia to get on 75. But I remember the cars were going 75 north to get away from the storm, and all the cars was going 10 west towards Tallahassee. And so the storm didn't hit the Sarasota area. So we were blessed to be there without any harm. And I remember the day that my wife and my son, he was only 1 year old.
Yeah, I love it.
Stage. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna talk about this just a little bit longer. How about this? How long did it take to do the dissertation?
It took me about a year.
Throughout our history, Black folks wanted to get an education. And we did things to teach each other as slaves. They did all they could to learn, to stop us from being able to get that education. But there is some ingrained something that is in some people that you can't hold us back. Let me give you a story. I just interviewed a lady that she says Richard Wright, the author, native son, what have you, I guess it is. He came from such extremely difficult background, but he was the class valedictorian. There was something that triggered something in him.
Yeah.
That made him be where I'm gonna just sit here and read a book and focus and put this stuff in my head despite my circumstances.
Yeah. And to your point with Richard Wright and many others, Richard Wright possessed the growth mindset, which is a phrase coined by noted psychologist Carol DeWitt called the growth mindset. And how she explains it is that when we have the growth mindset, despite our obstacles and challenges, if we want to learn, we will do what it takes to learn.
That's right. That's right.
Had a third grade education.
Yeah.
Some of them, had an eighth grade education, like my grandfather. But what separated them from others who did not possess the growth mindset, they embraced the growth mindset. They were like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to read. I'm going to learn how to write. I'm going to seek assistance. Okay. Many of us, well, I would say us, I'm talking about the Richard Wrights of the world, learn mainly through trial and error,
right?
Observation,
right?
Okay. And you look at the African concept of learning in indigenous cultures is mainly trial by error and observation.
That's right.
First, you observe learning in action, and then you try it.
That's right.
And so when you look at the African paradigm of education, it first begins with nature. What does a person need in order to succeed or survive in nature? Okay, the basics: food, water, clothes, and shelter. Okay, so once you know that, then the second question is, what education, knowledge, or tools do I need to acquire the basics of living? Okay, I need to know how to read. I need to know how to write, because I need to know how to communicate in the culture and where I live. And so that was the drive for many folks who lived in the Richard Wright era and those who were slaves.
Let me piggyback on this, Ricky Direct. So then you have that, and then you got these white folks, because there's a guy on the channel who says that the wealth disparity, and this is going to lead into what you know, in terms of your book and things, it was a program type scenario, because even if the government had some policies, GI Bill, Reconstruction, or whatever, and they maybe say the federal government had a good feeling, a good natured attitude to why they were doing it. I mean, the premise was correct. You had all them people on the ground level that were instituting the policies that they themselves did what they could to hold Black people back.
Yeah.
You get a GI Bill and says, okay, when you come back, we're going to give you so much money for housing and what have you. The person at the ground level was saying, okay, no, you can't live over there. We're going to put you over here where we can segregate you. We can isolate you. And then we can put whatever policies we want and we can focus them over there so they hold you back even more.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, there are stories of African-American veterans who served during World War II, Vietnam, returned home, and they saw the same conditions. They saw Jim Crow. They saw discrimination up front. I want to talk about what you just mentioned about segregated housing. In the book, was a story about my great-grandfather, first cousin, Foster Ellison.
Okay, let me stop you. What's the name of the book? And then you
it's called,
show us.
It's called The Awakening, the C. Wright Ellison Family Saga, Volume 1, A Narrative History. And the book includes the story of Foster Leon Ellison Jr. And after the war—
And he's who to you?
He's my great-grandfather, first cousin.
Okay.
And we called him Cousin Buster. But it was a story that was told about the community where he lived during the remainder of his life. That community is known as the Greenview community, which is located in North Columbia. And that community was created for Black African-American World War II veterans, where they purchased lots and they built homes on those lots. Okay. Some of them purchased lots and held on the land, while others purchased lots to rent property. And so the reason why they created that community, because the community across from the Greenville community was the Dentsville community. And that community was a community for white World War II veterans. And so you look at the railroad track.
Always a railroad track, ain't it?
The railroad track separated the Black and the white communities. And see, W. Du Bois in his book, The Soul of Black Folks, he mentioned that when he toured the South. He said, you know, it's interesting in these Southern communities, the railroad track shows the racial divide. Yeah. And you see that a lot.
Across America.
Across America.
That's right.
Where you see Black folks living on one side, white folks living on the other side. Now you do see some integration in some cases, but the racial lines clearly exist across many communities in America, particularly in rural communities. That's right. But to your point, when you look at Black communities during the Civil Rights Movement, many of, and before the movement, many of those Black communities were independent. Okay, they had their own businesses.
That's right. That's right.
Their own educational institutions and other institutions. In this book, The Awakening, I found in my research several predominant African-American communities where my relatives live. One in particular, Ward 1, was a predominant African-American community of businesses, churches, and educational institutions, which had its own identity. And many rural African-Americans from South Carolina, including my great-grandfather, Robert C. Wright, and his brother, Gaston C. Wright, moved to Ward 1. Ward 1 was located in Columbia because they wanted better employment opportunities and recreational amenities.
Right.
And so you had the Waverly community which was a predominantly African-American community of your educators, your business owners. My cousin Flosser, who I just mentioned, him and his wife lived in the Waverly community. He was a barber. In fact, he co-owned a barbershop with his friend that he met in the Navy, Joseph Stroy, Ellison and Stroy, which was a barbershop located in Columbia, South Carolina, Columbia Black Wall Street. And they founded that barbershop in 1947. But that barbershop also had another barbershop. And so what they did was they helped each other out. When one barbershop, their barbershop were busy with clients, they would send their clients to the next door barbershop.
Right.
And the next door barbershop did the same thing. So it was a collective identity with everybody worked together in the Wall Street districts across the country, and even in the Waverly community. And so, you know, we have to get back to that.
Yeah, I got you. Now, what's your take on, now I understand on the book and then on your family, something drove them to be that way. Mm-hmm. Are you able to identify that?
Yes.
How far back that is to say, okay, I'm breaking out of this? Did somebody escape slavery or whatever?
Yes, that's a great question. My family, still today, very close. I give you some case examples. With Foster, barber, graduated from Benedict College, got his master's from Park Atlanta University.
So you're talking about when?
I'm talking about in the 1950s. He received his bachelor's degree from Benedict in 1954. Okay. Master's degree in 1960 from Clark Atlanta in social work. But he was a business owner, but he was mentored by his father, who too was a business owner. His name was Foster Ellison Sr. Okay. Foster Ellison owned over 500 acres of land. He owned a syrup mill. He produced syrup for local residents. He had a millet grinder. When folks needed their millet seeds to be grinded, he did that. He had an agribusiness. He had a processing enterprise. I love it. So Foster learned that side of business and also education through his father and his siblings who were well educated too. So when I studied the C.Y. Ellison family, the transmission of knowledge was passed down from generation to generation. Okay, let me go back. Let me see if we can go back this, and maybe you know this one. Who was the slave and what happened to him on that side of the family? Do you know that? Yes, the slave, the C.Y. Ellison family share a common ancestor. Her name was Martha Kitchens C.Y. Ellison. Okay. Martha Kitchens was the daughter of Sam and Becky Kitchens. I was told by a relative that her mother, Becky, either died during slavery or she was sold during slavery. Okay. And Martha and her siblings never saw their mother again. But after the Civil War, okay, Sam, a father of my ancestor Martha and her siblings, he was a single father. And so he kept the family together. And so during the Reconstruction era, they were sharecroppers who lived and worked on the Phillips plantation. That was in 1867. They signed a freedman's labor contract with the Phillips plantation. Now that freedman's labor contract was a document in which the sharecroppers signed with the landowner. And sharecroppers didn't own anything. They did not own the house that they lived.
That's right.
Whatever they owed at the end of harvest time, they gave to the landowner, plus any other expenses that they occurred. And so she and her siblings and her father, Sam, lived on the Phillips plantation. And so the Friedman labor contract that they signed was from January the 1st, 1867 until January the 1st, 1868. Now, what's significant about that is that with the time they signed the contract, the black codes existed in South Carolina that restricted the livelihood of freedmen. Okay, they couldn't leave the landowner property, those who were sharecroppers, without the landowner permission. Those who could not find a job, who were unemployed, they were locked up. Okay, those who lived on the landowner's property had to get permission if they wanted to invite guests to see them. All right.
Wow.
When the Constitution of 1868, the South Carolina State Constitution, that abolished the black codes, okay, freedmen had more mobility. They had less restrictions. And so Sam and my ancestor siblings, they continued to sharecrop in nearby Windsor, South Carolina, which was near the Phillips plantation, was located in Williston, South Carolina. Now, what my ancestor Martha did, she did not follow her father and her siblings. She decided to get married. And the reason why she decided to get married, because she felt that the sharecropping system put her at a disadvantage.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, many of the sharecroppers were part of what you call gang labor. Okay, many of them lived in the same house, and when the spoils were divided, many of them got less. Okay, so some of the women, black women who were sharecroppers, wanted to get out of that lifestyle, and so one of the ways they got out of it was through marriage. Okay, they believed that if they got married, they would have more.
So who did she marry?
She married my third great grandfather, old Dave Seawright Sr.
And he was who? I mean, what did he do? That's what I'm really asking.
Well, a little bit of information about Dave. Don't really know too much about him. I know he had several siblings, but he before he met my ancestor Martha, he had two children. There was one son named David Seawright Jr. He had him from a lady named Lucy Mack, and then he had another daughter named Mariah Seawright Livingston while he was married. So he was cheating on his wife and had her. Okay, and so they got together, David and Martha, and they had several children. Their oldest daughter, Flora, died when she was young, but the rest of the children survived, including my second great grandfather, Arthur Seawright. And so Martha was a very proud, distinguished woman. She looked the part, she was beautiful, she stood tall among her peers, and so she was a catch, all right? But what happened back in the early 1800s, Aiken County, where they live, they were going through troubling economic circumstances.
Okay.
They had to pay debts, this whole state, to the Union and Confederate veterans. Railroads were destroyed from the war. And so they had to turn to nature. And so what they did, particularly in the eastern part of Aiken County, where my ancestors, Dave and Martha, lived, they explored the turpentine industry. And so the turpentine industry, basically stripping bark from the trees to extract the turpentine, which is used for many products like oils and cosmetics, soap. All right. So there were a lot of turpentine dealers. Now, Martha, she got hooked up with a young man from Bennettsville who was a pine tree surveyor in the turpentine industry.
He's a black guy?
Black guy.
Okay.
His name is Joseph Ellison. Okay, that's him right here.
Okay, okay.
Ellison. And this is Martha right here.
Okay, I love it.
Joseph Ellison saw an opportunity to work with the turpentine dealers in Eastern Aiken County. And because the turpentine dealers needed pine tree surveys. They could not extract the turpentine from the trees without the trees being surveyed.
I got you, I got you.
So he was debonair, he was sharp, he had an enterprising mind. So Martha was like, I'm gonna leave Dave and marry this guy.
Okay.
And they had an affair. She 14 years older than him, okay, had a son named Foster, had a son named Foster Ellison Sr., and had him in 1886, and they got married according to the census record in 1890, and they had 6 more children after that.
So if you gotta say what broke the cycle was her.
Yeah. She broke the cycle. And let me tell you why she did that. Because despite her faults, okay, she left my ancestor and married a young man while she was married to him, Dave. She wanted more out of life, okay? And in other words, I'm not going to just settle for living the sharecropping life no more. The sharecropping life, Dave, you struggling, man. You ain't making no money.
Right. Okay? I love it.
I look at the 1870 census, and the census records could tell you a whole lot. But the home value of Dave and Martha, their home value was $50. There ain't no money. That is object poverty. So you look at Joseph Ellison, a pine tree surveyor. He's in the industry that was in demand, and then later on he purchased land. Okay, and Martha seeing that, she's like, Joseph.
I ain't mad at Martha. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay, but how about this? So then they had 7 kids. Yeah. They are astute enough, and I'm sure Martha is so as she is. She's sending her kids to some kind of school.
Well,
which is where that education thing comes in.
Well, let me say this. I'm gonna say this. Joseph Ellison exposed my ancestor from the Seawright side and his children from the Ellison side to education and entrepreneurship. So they saw the motivation from Joseph Ellison, okay? And Martha played a role in that too.
Yeah.
But Foster, Joseph and Martha's son, sent his children to school, okay? Private schools. For instance, my cousin who I mentioned, Foster Ellison Jr., he went to Schofield Normal and Industrial Institute, which was a school founded by a white woman named Martha Schofield during the late 1800s. Right. Okay, that school trained African-American teachers and industrialists, those who specialize in the industrial arts. They had a very solid curriculum. Okay, so in order to go to Schofield, all right, you had to pay, or you if you wanted to go, you had to be sponsored by someone. Okay, that was the only way you went to Schofield. And so my Foster Sr., he, like I said, he was an entrepreneur. So he had enough money to send his son Flosser to Schofield. Okay, he wanted the best education, for his children. In fact, his oldest daughter, Thelma Ellison Corbett, she went to Bettis Academy, which was first a university. I think one of the first universities in the Aiken area.
Okay.
That school was founded, and a lot of Black teachers came out of Bettis Academy. And so cousin Thelma graduated from Bettis Academy, and she became a school teacher.
Okay, let me hold up right there. Let me divert back just a minute. Let's say digress. The ancestor, your great grandfather, what have you, that Martha left for the younger guy.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Well, he
and his kids.
Yeah.
Did he ever get it together, so to speak? And do you know?
I do know that he was still around. In fact, he lived a long time. Martha died in 1923. Dave died in 1925, and so he's buried at our family church, Smyrna Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay.
But I don't have any information from the time that he separated from Martha till the date of his death. But he still is significant in a lot of ways because he is my ancestor.
Yeah, sure.
But what it teaches me about Martha is the fact that she wanted more out of her life, and at that time, divorce was an anomaly. I mean, you study, African American family relations. I mean, people came and go. They came and they went during those times when it came to marriage and relationships, in relationships, in general. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So now, and this all circles back to the beginning of what we were talking about. I got a guy on the channel who said that his great, if not his great, but his father and mother were sharecroppers. And it goes to what you just said. His mother told him that this ain't working.
Right.
We can't this ain't gonna lead to nothing. And she told him,
right.
I'm leaving you if you don't leave this sharecropping, and we out of here.
Yeah.
And so he got smart enough and said, okay. And I asked him, did the white guy ever come after him for leaving, just willy-nilly, like he said? And he said he never heard of any circumstance to that regard. Wow. It was just, okay, you gone. Maybe he fled in the middle of the night. I don't know.
And to really put things in perspective, many folks had to deal with the cards that they were dealt with. However, you had some women like my ancestor Martha, who laid down the law, say, hey, you gotta do better or I'm out. Okay, and I see that in my family. The women in my family, and this is on my mom's side, they don't like to settle.
Let me divert here just for a second in this regard.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to that crabs in the barrel theory. Were there some that you noticed and then you heard the stories that did what they could to in a jealousy kind of way? You know what I'm saying? Or,
yeah.
Did you hear of that?
There are many stories that I've heard about those who exhibit the crab in the barrel mentality. I'm going to share some history on that. The crab in the barrel mentality was coined by Booker T. Washington. Many people don't know that. If you read Marcus Garvey essay, he has a book, that include all of his writings. And Marcus Garvey was a fan of Booker T. Washington, because Booker T. Washington promoted entrepreneurship and self-reliance. And so when Marcus Garvey came to America, he corresponded with Booker T. Washington, and Marcus Garvey was a little discouraged because he was doing something that was totally different from the W. Du Bois's and those who were promoting the civil rights, Black liberal tradition ideas. Marcus Garvey ran into opposition with W. Du Bois and others. And so he told Booker T. Washington, he said, Booker T, I'm running hard, but I'm running into opposition. And so Booker T. Washington said that there are some in the Black race who possess the crab in the barrel mentality. When a Black person is successful, you have some of us want to take them down. Okay, and there's many theories behind that. But I also think that we have to be careful in how we read into it as well, because sometimes that crab in the barrel mentality discourages us from working together. Quality theory that I have coined, where when we do something wrong to each other, some of us are unforgiving.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
But those outside the community,
that's right.
We forgive them. Hey, it's gonna be all right.
Let me ask you this: do you know what the white guy did to create the crab in the barrel theory? And what I mean by that is, he started doing things with the light and the dark skin,
right, and
other things that he did intentionally to create that scenario.
Yes, he did. I believe you're referring to Willie Lynch, the light-skinned slave and the dark-skinned slave.
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah,
using color as a way to divide and conquer. But also when you look at the crab in the barrel mentality, you also have to look at the idea of competition in Western culture. Okay, Western culture is totally different from the culture that our ancestors were under, where our ancestors in indigenous African cultures, within their cultures, were taught to cooperate with each other, where in Western culture, the culture teaches competition, being in competition with each other. Is a difference between healthy competition and unhealthy competition. But let's talk about Western culture, where the European race is very competitive throughout history. The English, the French, the Spanish, they all racing. They were racing to North America to claim territory. That was the European conquest or colonization was about. It was a race to claim territory. And then in claiming territory, they competed against each other. I mean, first it was the Spanish, okay, then the French. Right. But then when the French and Indian War came, the British won, and then they took over, okay? And so you look at the dominant culture, and I always say through my research, when the dominant culture rules, the dominant culture inflicts its behavior on the less dominant culture. That's right, okay. And so even those who are part of the dominant culture suffer from the maladaptive behaviors of the dominant culture. And so when you look at racism, competing, if you non-white, you're competing against whites. If you're white, you're competing against non-whites, okay? And many of us have our beliefs on racism, There's theories about racism, but when you look at racism, it's from a competitive standpoint, it's really about who could outpower or outperform
That's right.
each other.
That's
okay, right. So it's the survival of the fittest, mentality.
Right.
Rugged individualism. Only the strong survive. The weak fall by the wayside.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You look at our community, and you gotta ask yourself, is competition helps us, or if competition hurts us?
That's
okay. Right. And we have examples of that we could go through history.
That's right.
And other sources. I mean, with your work with Black businesses, I'm quite sure, I haven't read it yet, but I will use it as a reference that, Black businesses work together.
That's right.
They cooperated. Okay, now there was competition. Yes, there was competition. Okay, but the Black businesses that I've researched so far in South Carolina, they work together for the betterment of the Black community.
I love it. Right. Are there other stories in your book, other family owners or something that you wanted to let us know about? Or is that Martha the basis of the book?
Yes. In fact, just one, again, the book is The Awakening, the C.Y. Ellison Family Saga, Volume 1 of Natural History, available on Amazon. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, please. I want people to know to get a copy.
Yes, get a copy. It's on Amazon.com.
But everybody, I tell you, so that you see what he did, he found out where it flipped in his family.
Yeah.
And then he was smart enough, with enough wherewithal, to go with the flip and to finish that doctorate.
Yeah.
And get that degree.
Thank you, man.
And that's the moral of the story after all is said.
Yeah.
He found the flip. Everybody, you know what we do here, Strong Inspirations. I find these intelligent people, and they come on here and they tell us their personal story. He done told us something personal in his life to some strangers. He don't know me and he don't know y'all, but he wants you to hear this. And let me tell you how far he gone with it. He wrote a book on some personal stories. It ain't his first book. He write a book. He finds some family stories, the good and the bad, and he's telling it so that y'all can get something out of it. That's a beautiful thing. That's how I look at it.
That's right.
Everybody hit the subscribe button on the channel, hit the like button on this video. If you don't like nothing else, you should like this one. He shared something personal in his family. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. I'm doing 4-5 of them a week, and I put them up at any particular time. And then tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Keep it going like that. Watch my movie, read my book, read his books. Go to his, you got a website, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. My website address is www.renaissancepubllc.com.
There you go. Go to the website, get all his books. Get them all. They're all gonna blow your mind. Watch. And so then the other thing I want you to do, my brother, and with all sincerity, man, you know what I'm about to say, and that's to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing. You following through on this, because you know there's tasks that we do, and sometimes we don't go all the way. You go all the way where you got it and paid the money, and it's in print. Boom, it's there forever.
It's there forever. Nobody
there forever. Everybody. With that, I'll say bye-bye. We out until I see you again. Rock and roll.
Peace. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Power to you, brother. Take care.
You got it.